Slurpdy-derp. So, when it comes to making a Vital Reese bass, like a classic sounding drum and bass Reese, you can really do it in about 3 minutes. You'd be there in a jiffy. Do you know what I mean? Basically, all you're going to need, Vital, a bit of tape, a little filter, maybe a little reverb, and you can have something like this in a few seconds. Nice little warm sound to it. All you're going to do in Vital is you're going to start off with your voicing section. Once I've actually turned off the effects because I don't prepare very well for videos, you're going to start off with a saw wave up here, which is going to be, let's quickly look at the MIDI real quick. The MIDI, I've done just a D, and then it goes up an octave, a whole octave to D, the higher D, back down to A sharp, and then A. And so we've got a nice sort of melody going on. And you're going to start off with one saw wave at 12, or minus 12 even. Then you're going to add another saw wave in to start the detuning process at minus 11, and a little minus 21 on the fine tuning here, just for perfection. What we've got is one LFO that's being used, and it's a simple up and down triangle, 2/1. I'm going to add the bend mode on the saw waves to separate them a little bit. Bend one way, one the other way on the LFO. Really subtle detail. It's got the classic Reese speeding up effect, because if you just make the detuning via the pitch section in the oscillator generator section here, then naturally when you play up the keyboard, the detuning will increase, So we're going to layer up a bass underneath, sine wave, minus 24. So there we've got like the most basic of basic classic Reeses, but we want to make it a bit warmer, a bit more analog sounding. So next we're going to do a phaser negative, which is going to take out some of that horrible high end on the saw waves, and we're going to just add a tiny bit of movement to the left. I've opened up the phaser negative, left the cutoff where it was, and then moved the cutoff to the left a little bit on our LFO, and we're just going to run oscillator 1 and 2 through this, not the sine wave, because that'll take out a bit of the power of the sine wave, but the saw waves will then lose a bit of their high end, which is kind of good. Okay, next up, in the chorus section, I tend to do this often after the distortion, but this time it kind of worked better beforehand. There's never a right or wrong way with sound design. 16% on the mix and 8 voices, and the rest of the settings are pretty much default. Okay, wonderful. And then the soft clipping, about 3.5 dB, really unlocks a nice saturation in the low end. A tiny bit of flanging on the LFO with the mix, just mixing in a little bit of the effect. The default settings are on, nothing too crazy there. I've done a little low pass filter, and if you don't want to low pass everything like that, you can bring the mix back a little bit. Shout out to my G who said he liked the undo button in Vital. I agree, that's probably the best button in Vital. I always use that. Bring the mix to about 25%, and we do like a subtle low pass on everything, just to take out a little bit more of the high end. And that's basically the whole Vital section done. I could even turn the glide up a bit here, make sure the voices are on one, glide and legato on. I think it might sound even nicer. That's pretty good. And then just to refine it a bit more, make it more analog and more unique, we're going to add in a tape. So there's a lot of presets in this free tape plugin that I love, but some of them take out a lot of the low end. And there's a strange thing that happens, which is whenever I reload the plugin, it loses the preset that I've selected. So now I struggle to remember which one it was. But I can pretty much, I think it was the messily aged one. Yeah, this one, because some of the presets, make things a bit tinny on purpose, a bit lo-fi and tinny, but some of them keep all the low end in. And so the messily aged one I used because that kept a lot of the low end in, but it made the whole sound warmer. So that's a great preset for this plugin. And then I decided to add in a bit of noise. Sorry, not noise. That's what I was listening to. I added in a bit more low pass filtering. So I've used the Filter Freak and kind of just mixed in a bit of low pass again, just to take out a little bit more harshness in the high end. There's a tiny bit of movement. It's very subtle. Trying to get that balance between having like a nice amount of crunchiness to the sound, but not so harsh saw waves either. So it's a bit of a balancing act with the high end on that kind of Reese. Just keep convoluting it, and it's gradually becomes softer and softer in the high end. What I did quickly add on was a little convolution layer. So I bounced out the whole Reese into a new file and faded it in, and so it's gonna add an increasing tension of reverb. So we're going to put 100% reverb on, and I've gone for a white decay 200 milliseconds on the kilohertz reverb. And then I've just taken out a lot of low end. I've gone over the EQ twice to take out quite a bit of low end, so it's mainly just a high end effect. Added a tiny bit more space with the chroma reverb. Any reverb will do in that part of the sound, really. It's just a background layer. It's not super important. But that kind of adds a bit of an increasing tension together with the original. But yeah, cool and easy, classic analogy kind of sounding Reese made in just a few minutes with Vital, a bit of tape and some filtering. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Much love. See you guys soon.